Welcome to Mixed Needs Mama podcast, where we talk about parenting mixed needs families and building a family culture that honors God and every member in our family. We're so glad you've joined us today. And I'm your host, a mixed needs mama myself, Terrie Hellard-Brown, and I help Christian parents in mixed needs homes move from survival mode to sustainable peace. Today, we're going to look at the exhausted parent. As mixed needs parents, sometimes we live in utter exhaustion. Sometimes people don't realize how much energy it takes to parent a mixed needs home. They know that they can get tired parenting their neurotypical children. Parenting does take a ton of energy. I would agree with the statement that parenting is the hardest job you'll ever love because we love being parents. We love having our children. They are truly a blessing from God, but we are tired. We are exhausted, especially if we have little ones who need our constant help, or if we have children with special needs who need our constant help. So even if we're sick, it doesn't matter. We've still got to be on. We've still got to be mom. We've still got to do what we've got to do. When you're dealing with a mixed needs family, there's an even more taxing situation of managing the needs of your children because they are so diverse and divergent and different. You're trying to meet the needs with children who think differently, who see the world differently, and sometimes seem like they're from different planets. That can be taxing. That can be tiring. We also run into decision fatigue, sensory fatigue, emotional labor in all that we're doing with our mixed needs family. To me, the hardest part, I think, was the decision fatigue. We were always trying to make the right decision for what was best for our children, and people threw advice at us from all directions. And we're trying to discern and decide what was the right way to go, what was the best thing to do. And it is just exhausting. So when we talk about what you need as an exhausted parent, it's not so much a strategy as it is permission to let go. Sometimes we're exhausted because we're trying to do everything. We're trying to keep all the balls or plates or whatever juggled in the air and not let anything fall and crash to the ground. We are listening to too many voices and trying to do too much. You are one person. You have responsibilities and you have to do what you have to do, but sometimes we don't have to be doing all that we are doing. We want to give ourselves permission to let go of the things we can. Some days we especially need to operate on a minimum effective dose of parenting. So what is the minimum effective dose of our parenting that we can implement and let other stuff fall away? I don't know what that answer is for you, but with God's help and your spouse's help, you can discern what can be let go of and what needs to stay and what can be done by someone else. So we want to identify this week. What I want you to do is identify one thing to drop. And then I want you to identify one thing to automate, something that you can do that just is automatically done and you don't have to mess with it. And one thing that you can ask for help with this week, and think of who can help you do that. And it might be your spouse, it might be an older child, might be a neighbor, might be someone at your church. But think of one thing you can ask for help on, one thing that you can automate, and one thing you can drop. Let me just give you a silly example from our family. When my kids were little, one of the things that I could drop was bath time. And I know that sounds crazy, but we found my husband and I would go to the club. We had a club we were a member of, and they had childcare there. And so our children could go into childcare while we went and swam laps in the morning. Then we would go have breakfast or workout or whatever, and our kids could go swim. And then we could rinse off the chlorine in the showers at the club, and bath time was done. I didn't have to worry about bath time anymore. We actually dropped having a nightly bath time and did it where we actually were doing another activity and bath time was taken care of as a result. That could be considered automation. It could be considered dropped, but whatever it was a consolidation in our day. It helped the kids have a great time and get energy out. And it took away a lot of my time. And my kids didn't enjoy taking baths, but they loved swimming and they loved the showers at the gym. So that worked out well for us. Automate, something you can automate. It might be that you have chopped up all the food and your children can fix their own little lunches instead of you having to be in charge of creating lunch. You could let them make their own sandwich, their own Lunchable, or whatever you want to call it, that they put together with their fruit and their different proteins, and let them put it together. So it would be automated. All you have to do is on Sunday or Monday, chop up everything for the week and put them in airtight containers, and then just bring them out, let the kids make their lunches, and sit down and eat. Something you could do that you ask for help. What we found was it was worth it to us to have someone come help clean our house once a week. And so I had someone, and it was fairly inexpensive. Actually, it was very inexpensive because we were overseas. But even in the States, when I've done that, I have found someone who would work for like $20 an hour, and I didn't need them for that many hours because I just needed help with like dusting, mopping, getting the kitchen counters cleaned off so that the house looked okay to me. So I didn't feel like I was just overwhelmed by the mess. And that little bit of help changed everything. It made everything doable. It just made everything much better. And there was one point where we had so much going on. We had a lady come twice a week, and she would even help me fold the laundry. Oh my goodness, what a blessing that was. But it might be that you have a friend who enjoys that kind of stuff and would come and help you just because they love you. Sometimes the older women in our church would come and just bless us, or the Filipino women in our church were so adorable, and they would come and just attack my house and find dirt I didn't even know was there. They were amazing, but they did it because they wanted to bless us. And it wasn't all the time, but that was just every now and then. But we can find someone who can help once a week with something that can change our life. It might be that you need someone to come help with math. Maybe that's not your thing, it's not your subject, and you're having trouble helping your child understand math. I had an aunt who was a math whiz, and she would come and help me with my math homework when I was a kid. And it was the best time. I loved that time with her. And she enjoyed it because she loved math. Her brain was a total math brain. She enjoyed it, and we had a great time. It helped my parents not have to worry about that. So find one thing you can drop, one thing you can automate, and one thing that you can ask for help. See if you can find those three things this week and see how that will change your life. And maybe you'll be able to get a little more rest, a little more sleep, and just feel better about what you have to face each week. These small steps make a huge difference, especially when we are just exhausted. So God bless you, and I hope you find rest. And one last little tidbit of advice is you can do a 10-minute power nap, and you don't even actually go to sleep necessarily. You can set a timer or whatever you need to do, but if your children can be busy for 10 minutes and you can put your feet up and relax and just either pray, close your eyes, take a little nap, those 10 minutes can be amazing. It's a powerful thing that we don't often talk about, but that can help a lot. And then as soon as that alarm goes off, you can jump up and stretch and drink some water and then just feel ready to face the rest of your day. I recommend doing it around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon before you're ready to start getting ready for dinner. And it just makes such a difference. Try it and see. See if you can work that out, and see if maybe your spouse can help you have a 10-minute break, and see how much it helps you.